Well, there's a bit of a feel of autumn in the air this morning, and it's the end of July, so it's a way off, but it certainly feels that way. So this morning I'm going to be doing quite a few things, and one of them is to make the most of the broccoli heads that we've got. And for sure the broccoli has not been great this season for me, and I'm going to make sure that anything that is usable is harvested this morning, and we'll take a few shallots and Mrs. K is going to work her magic with it. And then we're going to need to take out the plant unless there's signs that there's some secondary growth of more broccoli heads. So we'll take a look at that and see how we get on. So this has been my problem. Quite a few of the heads go into flower and then go into seed. So we'll get rid of these as well, and the chickens will enjoy eating this. Even these fairly dense heads are starting to flower, so we can still eat this, but just goes to show how it seems to be struggling this season. And I don't know whether that's my growing technique or whether it's just the way the weather is, but we try broccoli every year, and some years we have great success and sometimes not so much, but that's still very edible. Well, we've got some pretty meaty thistles in here, so put on the gauntlets and see if I can pull them out. They do get into this ground and cause a bit of havoc. There we go. So left in this bed now we've got what I think is probably some Romanesco, and already this one is changing shape from what it should be. It's not the dense structure that you'd like to see from a Romanesco, and this one is a bit tighter and very young, and this plant here doesn't seem to have any growth on it yet, but these, they just don't look right to me. But we'll see how they continue. It's a good opportunity to see this enormous plant. I think it's probably a collie, but it's going to be enormous, and hopefully it will stay tight and usable. We've got another one here that's gone to seed, which is a collie, so we'll have him out. So it really isn't a successful year for me for collies and broccoli, and as I say, I don't know whether it's the weather condition or just the way I'm approaching them, but I've certainly had more success than this in the past, and hopefully we will in the future. So this bed also has some cabbage in it, and as you can see, it's being thoroughly attacked, and I gotta say, this bed is not working out, and it means that I'm probably going to use it for something completely different next year. And having these thoughts now, while you remember what the experience is important. Now I know in this bed over here, where I've grown the shallots and onions, I've had some white rot, and I'm thinking that maybe the onions have to shift over here, and they certainly aren't affected by slugs in the same way. So in this bed we've got mainly broccoli, in fact totally broccoli, and once again it's having exactly the same experience as all the others, so it's time for it to come out. And what I think when I do something like this and harvest the crop early is what I'm going to do with this bed. And for now my mind is set on clearing it, letting it just settle for a day or two, and then I'll probably put a mulch over it. It's very early for that, but if I want to put something else into here, then that job will be done, and I'll take that from my compost that I've prepared for the purpose. So this is what I've managed to crop, and it's a pretty meagre amount of broccoli for all the plants that I grew, but there's obviously a serious problem with the broccoli, and I think I've got to the bottom of it. So I've got all the broccoli plants out now, and the problem has become very evident. So it feels like a bit of an attack from soil level on this plot at the moment. We've had some white rot, and we can overcome that. And now the broccoli has this problem. I don't know whether you can see on these roots, but this is what the roots should normally be like, these thin filaments. And this root has got these large nodules on it, which of course is clubroot. And clubroot is a problem. It stops the plant developing and basically damages your crop. So there are ways around this. You can't remove it from the soil in reality, but you can certainly diminish its effect, and you can do that by using lime. And builder's lime is relatively cheap, comes in large bags, and it's a bit stronger than normal garden lime, but it works. And if you make a hole in the soil and line it with the lime, and you can plant a brassica into that and have a degree of success. The important thing is to make sure that the plant is reasonably well developed before you plant it, and it helps if you occasionally water with some lime in the water, and that way you can certainly get a good crop. So that's probably going to be my method going forward, and I will select a different bed and use that method to see if I can overcome the problem. These allotments are known to have clubroot, and many of the allotment users overcome that using that method. So I think that's what we'll be adopting in the future. Whilst this bed's not quite as bad, it's evident that there's clubroot here as well. So I think the future of brassicas on my plot is going to involve plenty of lime. So the strawberry runners that I took from the polytunnel are now starting to look really quite healthy, and I'm going to move them down to what I call the nursery, which is the area of all the compost, and that way they'll be in the shade, no risk of drying out if we get any hot August weather, and that'll keep them in a good position to go through the winter. It's pretty frost free down in that area, and that helps. Just means that the plants get a good start to the spring and will remain reasonably healthy. So my entry for the sunflower competition is definitely this plant, and whilst this head is over and we've got this beautiful seed head developing, which I think are as pretty as flowers, this plant has been quite unusual in that it's got 2, 4, 6, 8 additional flowers on it, and they're just wonderful. So there's more to do where clubroot's concerned, and this isn't knowledge that I have, it's knowledge that's been shared with me, and it just goes to show how beneficial it is to have friendships on the allotment. And one of my neighbours reliably informs me that it's really important to get these nodules out of the soil at this stage, because as these rot down they release more of the clubroot spores. So I'm going to work through this piece of ground now and remove as many of these as I can find, and hopefully that gives me the best chance of keeping clubroot at bay, certainly in this bed. So I'm going to get on and do that. It could be a laborious job. Well, I've got to be honest, that was quite a difficult job, and I was as thorough as I can be, but some of those nodules are fairly small and it's quite difficult to make sure you've got them all out. I'm sure I haven't, but I think I've given this bit of ground the best chance I can, and if I follow the advice I've been given and use lime, I'll probably be able to grow brassicas in here again at some point in the future. But next year's plan will definitely involve avoiding spaces for brassicas where I've previously seen clubroot, and avoiding spaces where I've had white rot where I'm going to plant the allium family. And that's all part of growing. So good compost protocol is to have a green layer and then a brown layer, and this has been predominantly grass so far this season, but what I'm going to do is use some of this bedding from the chicken coop in here as a brown layer, and then add some more grass clippings, and then progressively work that way to fill up these 2 bins as I mow the lawn. Now this is already rotting down quite well. Wood chip takes a fair old time to rot down, but if you can get it underway as it does here in this pile, then it speeds that process up. So I'm figuring a layer about that much of this brown matter, and then a goodly dose of the green, and we'll do exactly the same in here. I do hope you enjoyed the video today. If you did, click the subscribe button, click the like button, and if you want updates from me each time I upload a video, click the bell and select all. I do hope you have a great day. Diolch yn fawr.